Now, the builders of the healthcare.gov website were under fire today when they appeared before the House Energy and Commerce Committee.
So once again, here we have my Republican colleagues trying to scare everybody.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I will not yield to this monkey court or whatever this thing is.
This is not a monkey court.
Do whatever you want.
Those insurance plans are being canceled. And they're being told they have to buy insurance through a website that doesn't work.
There are thousands of websites that carry far more traffic. So I think that's really kind of a lame excuse. Amazon and eBay don't crash the week before Christmas.
Ms. Campbell, who are the best and brightest that have been invited by the White House to fix this problem?
I don't have individuals by name.
The senior vice president of CGI Federal said that another contractor was responsible for the technology that allowed users to create new accounts, and that's what's caused the initial bottleneck issues on the site. In her prepared testimony, Campbell said, now more and more users have been able to proceed to the exchange and enroll in qualified insurance plans. However, the increased number of transactions in the exchange have caused system performance issues, such as slow response times or data assurance issues, and now those need to be addressed through tuning, optimization, and application improvements. Now, the White House won't release the actual number of people who've been able to sign up through the exchanges, but we know it is well under the 7 million people they needed to sign up in order to make Obamacare work. So weren't they ready for an influx of online traffic? But that is not all we learned at today's hearing.
So in less than 2 weeks, you're telling me that you are constantly changing code, you're introducing new code. You can't quite tell me how that's secure. In any system that I have ever seen, 2 months for a functionality test is not appropriate, let alone a security check on this information. I am more nervous today than I was when I got here. I am shocked that on August 30th you get an independent check that says the system is fine, and you have introduced new code to that system probably daily, probably in the terms of hundreds of thousands of lines, at least tens of thousands of lines of new code, which creates new vulnerabilities in the system. And you don't even know the answer if these things are end-to-end security tested, number one. And number two, you're not even sure if it's in your piece is end-to-end ongoing security tested. I have to tell you, Mr. Chairman, this is a significant event. And you don't have to like Obamacare. You can hate it. You can love it. You can't wait to get in it. You cannot expose this much information with this low threshold of security in a day when there is 1.5 million people ripped off every day in cybersecurity.
Clearly, CGI has no comprehension of Internet security. They should just hire some people over at the NSA because they know all about Internet security and how to breach it.
We don't hold data on U.S. citizens. I think one of the things, from my perspective, that is grossly misreported is everybody says you're going to grab all the emails and you're going to stick them down, all the U.S. emails, and put them down in some place in the United States. One, we don't do that. I believe it is in the nation's best interest to put all the phone records into a lockbox that we could search when the nation needs to do it, yes.
Man, that guy should just wish for a pot of gold because he just speaks things into existence. This story is breaking on Infowars.com. The CIA-funded software company manages the private data for healthcare.gov. That's right. In-Q-Tel, the CIA's venture capital firm, invested heavily in Socrata, the software company who provides data collection and management for healthcare.gov and Medicare.gov. Through a press release, Socrata announced that the two entities will work together to further develop Socrata's data consumerization platform for internal business analysts and data-rich organizations. They added that users of Socrata's technologies can transform raw data from multiple sources into more sophisticated and useful resources. In other words, Socrata will work with the CIA and other intelligence agencies to transform raw data into a format that's easily utilized and accessible to the intelligence community. Healthcare.gov captures the personal data provided during the Obamacare enrollment process for this spy grid database.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
All right.
Nope. They definitely spy on Americans. And what is certain to aggravate our foreign allies even further, they're spying on them as well. A confidential memo that's leaked by Edward Snowden reveals that the NSA monitored calls of 35 world leaders after a U.S. official handed over his contacts. The NSA encourages senior officials in its customer departments, such as the White House, the state, and the Pentagon, to share their Rolodexes, so the agency can add the phone numbers of leading foreign politicians to their surveillance systems. Well, in response to all the spying and the blatant lying by the NSA, the BRICS countries are just going to build their own internet. Brazil is set to finalize a 34,000-kilometer undersea fiber optic cable by 2015 that will run from Russia to Brazil via China, India, and Cape Town, South Africa. The project will create a network free of U.S. eavesdropping. However, some privacy experts fear that this will do little to stop the NSA, given that it has tapped undersea cables since the Cold War era. Well, the BRICS countries aren't the only ones that are distancing themselves from U.S. hegemony. Saudi Arabia is also threatening to shift away from the U.S. Now, Reuters reported that it was over perceived inaction with Syria and recent U.S. overtures to Iran. But another article from Washington's blog suggests a different reason. China just dethroned the U.S. as the world's largest importer of oil, importing 6.3 million barrels per day, compared to the United States' 6.24 million. This trend is likely to continue, and this gap is likely to grow, according to the EIA's October short-term energy outlook. Well, of course, that's what happens when you ship all of the jobs overseas. We have no need for oil consumption here because we have no industry to consume it. But never fear, the U.S. government is going to take care of all of us when there's no more jobs left for Americans. Actually, the plan is to just get everybody on welfare so that we can be totally dependent on Big Daddy Gov. And they're already moving to do this in federally funded schools. A school in Richmond, Virginia is following federal government instructions by telling parents that they need to have a doctor's note in order for their children to be allowed to bring packed lunches to school. The federal program's preschool initiative is funded primarily by the Head Start program, which is a Department of Health and Human Services scheme that provides education and nutritional support for children from low-income families. So under federal programs preschool, underprivileged children are provided with government-backed breakfast, lunch, and a snack, which includes ice cream and nachos during PE. So in order to say no to the school lunch offerings of hormones, GMOs, preservatives, and grease, students must have the permission of a professional in order to avoid junk food. A parent's good judgment is not sufficient. So if you still do not get it, that total control is the plan of the New World Order, listen to this ominous warning from Thomas Jefferson. He says if people let government decide what foods they eat and what medicines they take, their bodies will soon be in as sorry a state as are the souls of those who live under tyranny.
Why is nascent iodine so important?
Nascent iodine is so important because it goes directly to the thyroid. It's not bonded to a salt, which means it doesn't have to be broken down, and it's the most usable form. It's what the body uses. It's what the body is designed to use. If you have low energy levels, if you have pains, if you have thyroid problems, if you don't feel up to par, well, they've proven now that the fluoride and a lack of iodine causes a decreased IQ because you have all this stuff that builds up inside your system and builds up and builds up. And that's why some people, when they start taking iodine, will have what's called a Herxheimer reaction or a detoxification reaction. But that's a good sign. That means you're detoxifying all that fluoride buildup, the mercury buildup in there, the bromine buildup in your system, and the chlorine buildup in your system. You don't want those things. All of those things have been proven as carcinogens. That's one of the reasons prostate cancer is on the rise, too, is because prostate takes up iodine, and the men that are lacking iodine causes the prostate to become cystic and causes the prostate to swell and eventually leads to prostate cancer. There's been an extreme rise in polycystic ovarian disease, PCOS, with women, fibrocystic breast disease, because iodine is stored in the breast tissue, the ovaries, the prostate glands in men. It's utilized by every single cell in the body.
Why does this almost taste good compared to other iodine that tastes horrible? That's because it's real iodine atomic form.
We wanted something that's going to go straight into the bloodstream and straight into the thyroid gland. We wanted to put it in a vegetable glycerin base. That's a USP kosher certified vegetable glycerin base. And that product is not tested on animals. It's vegan friendly. It's gluten free. It's GMO free.
Of all the things I've done, Nascent Iodine was just absolutely amazing. So we developed with Dr. Group a double strength, low price. InfoWarsLife.com, Survival Shield, the Atomic Nascent Iodine, available right now.